Hello everyone. I welcome you to this lecture 3.5 of NPTEL course on intelligent and smart building in the context of futuristic architecture. Today's topic is building automation systems, which is commonly known as BAS, with the focus of design, implementation and integration. So the lecture is divided into four major parts. In the first part, we will discuss design principles. This include user requirement, zoning strategies, control hierarchy, scalability, redundancy, and documentation. In the second section, we will study interoperability and open standards such as BACnet, KNX, MQTT, Project, Haystack, and BRICS schema. In the third section, we will examine the implementation life cycle of a BAS project. We will go through the 7 phases from design to continuous commissioning. Finally, we will understand how building automation system integrates with HVAC, lighting, security, elevators and utility metering system. What is BAS project? The BAS project is unique because it combines two different worlds. The one side, it is construction project, and on the other side, it is an IT digital system projects. From the construction perspective, we have physical elements such as sensors, actuators, controllers, cables, control panels, and field devices. These components must be installed correctly inside the building. And at the same time, the BAS also depends heavily on software programming, network architecture, communication protocol, cyber security, and data integration. This dual nature creates challenges. So, as both have their different type of challenges. For example, even if the software is excellent, poor sensors installation can destroy system performance. Similarly, perfect hardware installation is not enough if the control logic or network integration is poorly designed. Therefore, successful building automation system implementation required coordination between architects, mechanical engineer, electrical engineer, IT professional, and facility managers. Design principles as per user requirement. The first principle in building automation system design is very important. The building owner and users must first define what the building expected to deliver. For occupant comfort, the designer may define temperature control within plus or minus 0.5 degree Celsius. Indoor air quality may require carbon dioxide level below 1000 ppm. Relative humidity may need to remain between 40 to 60%. Similarly, energy goals must also be defined clearly. For example, the building may target Energy Star certification or net zero energy operation. Demand response capability may also be required. Safety requirements are equally important. The bus may need integration with fire alarms, smoke control system, and emergency lighting system. The key lesson is this: a building automation system must be designed around performance objectives, not around equipment category. The zoning strategy and control hierarchy. A building should never be controlled as one large space. Instead, it must be divided into different zones. These zones are created based on occupancy pattern, solar exposure, internal heat loads, and HVAC boundaries. For example, a south-facing facade receives higher solar heat gain and may require independent control. Conference rooms have charging occupancy pattern, so they also require separate control. Similarly, several rooms generate high internal heat and cannot be grouped with normal office space. After zoning, we define the control hierarchy. At the management level, we have dashboards, energy reports, and remote monitoring system. At the supervisory level, we have DDC programs, set point optimization, and alarm management. At the first level, we have sensors, actuators, and local controllers directly interacting with equipments. This layered structure improves efficiency, scalability, and fault management. Next is redundancy, scalability, and documentation. A professionally designed building automation system must also consider redundancy and future expansion. Critical buildings such as hospitals and data centers cannot depend on a single controller. Therefore, backup controllers, UPS power supply, and manual override systems are essential. Another important concept is scalability. Scalability. In this, designer often underestimate future growth. A good practice is to design for approximately 150% of current input output points. This allows future expansion without replacing the entire infrastructure. Now let us discuss about documentation. One of the most important bus documents is the sequence of operations or SOO. This document explains exactly how the system should behave in every operating condition. For example, what should happen during occupied mode, unoccupied mode, fire condition, or equipment failure. The SOO acts as both a technical reference and a contractual document. If the SOO is unclear, commissioning problems usually appear later. The interoperability and BACnet protocol. Modern bus projects rely heavily on interoperability. This means devices from different manufacturers should communicate with each other. They must widely used open protocol for this purpose in BACnet. BACnet was developed under ASHRAE standard 130. It communicates BACnet communication is organized using object, properties, and services. For example, an analog input object may represent a temperature sensor. A binary output project may represent a relay or actuators. Each object contains properties such as present value, unit, description, and status flags. BACnet services allow devices to exchange information. For example, ready property retrieves a value. Write property sends a command. Who is an IM service help discover devices on the net. The major advantage of BACnet is openness. It reduces dependency on a single vendor and improves long-term flexibility. Other open standards and protocols. Apart from BACnet, several other standards are important in smart buildings. KNX is widely used for decentralized control of lighting, blinds, and HVAC system. It is essentially popular in Europe. MQTT is a lightweight communication protocol used in IoT systems. When combined with Sparkplug-B, it supports reliable cloud-connected building system. Project Haystack is another important development. It uses semantic tagging to make sensors data machine readable. This allows AI and analytic platforms to understand building data automatically. Similarly, Brick Schema creates a graph-based model of building relationship. It connects physical system, virtual zones, and data points. These semantic frameworks are becoming increasingly important because future smart buildings will depend heavily on data analytics and AI-driven optimization. So, a building automation system project follows a structured 7-phase life cycle. The phases are design, procurement, installation, programming, commissioning, handover, and continuous commissioning. Each phase has specific deliverables and quality checks. Many projects perform well during installation but fail during operation because the later phases are neglected. In particular, continuous commissioning is often ignored. Buildings do not remain static. Occupancy changes, weather conditions are changing, equipment performance also changes with its age. Therefore, building automation system must also be adjusted continuously to maintain comfort and energy efficiency. The phase 7 continuous commissioning. So, the first stage is phase 1. The design phase creates the technical foundation of the entire building automation project. One major document is the points schedule. This is complete inventory of all sensors, actuators, controllers, and field devices. It includes stats, ranges, accuracy, and wiring references. The next important document is the network architecture diagram. This diagram redefines communication, topography, BAC net, IP structure, router location, and IP address. Finally, the sequence of operations defines system behavior under all operating conditions. A poorly prepared design phase creates confusion during installation and commissioning. Therefore, a detailed, well-designed planning is essential. Next is procurement and installation. The procurement phase should focus on performance specification instead of specifying a particular brand. The designer should specify functional requirements. This promotes competition and prevent vendor lock-in. It is also important to define minimum BAC net, conformance and requirement because not all devices support the same services. Third-party compliances testing is often useful before procurement approval. Now let us discuss installation. Correct wiring and its practices are critical. Analog signals usually requires screen twisted pair cables. BAC net IP systems use structured cabling. Every cable should be properly labeled. Controller installation is equally important. Controllers should be mounted inside ventilated and secure panels. Finally, sensors placement must be done carefully. A badly located sensors give inaccurate reading and destroy control quality. For example, a room sensor should not be exposed to direct sunlight or supply air. And the fourth phase is programming. During the programming phase, the sequence of operations is converted into actual control logic. This includes PID control loops, scheduling logic, set point calculation, economizer sequence, and occupancy modes. Graphic development is also performed. Operators require user-friendly dashboard with flow plans, schematic alarms, and trained display. Another critical task is alarm configuration. Not all alarms have the same priority. The life safety alarms must receive immediate attention. Maintenance alarms may follow lower point levels. Notification routes or escalation procedures must also be defined carefully. So a poorly programmed bus creates a operator confusion and unstable building performance. In the phase 5th, which is the commissioning phase, it is one of the most important phases in the building automation system lifecycle. Commissioning verifies whether the installed system actually performs according to the sequence of operation. This is not only a paperwork exercise, it requires real function testing. For example, sensor failures and equipment trip may be simulated to verify fail-safe operations. Witness testing is also conducted. Here, the client or commissioning authority observes critical sequences in real time. Train data verification is another important activity. The building automation system should collect operational data for at least 2 weeks. The data helps verify system stability, response time, and energy performance. Commissioning is essential and it is the proof that the design intent has been achieved. Handover and continuous commissioning. After commissioning comes handover. At this stage, facility operators must be trained properly. They should understood graphics, alarms, trend analysis, and manual override procedures. Complete documentation must be delivered. This includes as built drawing, network diagram, point schedule, and vendor manuals. However, the bus life cycle does not end here. Continuous commissioning is extremely important. Building conditions constantly evolve. Occupancy changes, equipment ages, interior layout may change. Therefore, building automation system settings must be recalibrated periodically. Continuous monitoring, fault detection, diagnostic, and energy benchmark help maintain long-term performance. The integration. The HVAC integration forms the backbone of most bus installation. The bus continuously manages air handling units, VAV boxes, chillers, boilers, pumps, and cooling towers. For AHUs, the bus controls supply air temperature, mixed air conditions, economizer, operations, and ventilation rates. For VAV system, the building automation system coordinates airflow across many zones simultaneously. For chillers, the boilers, the bus manages sequencing, efficiency optimization, and lead leg rotation. Pump and cooling tower control also depends on variable speed drives and flow balancing. The overall objective is to maintain occupant comfort while managing energy consumption. Next is lighting and security integration. Modern bus platforms also integrates lighting and security system. Lighting system may use DALI or VSE net gateways. Occupancy sensors can coordinate both HVAC and lighting operations. When a space becomes unoccupied, lights may dim automatically and HVAC operations may reduce. Daylight harvesting is another useful strategy. Lights near windows can dim automatically when natural daylight is available. Security integration is equally important. Access control events can trigger building wake-up signals. For example, the first employee entering the building may automatically activate HVAC and lighting system. Fire alarm integration is especially critical. During smoke conditions, the bus must switch fans and dampers into smoke control mode so that the smoke cannot allowed to enter at different areas. This integration support both safety and operational efficiency. So the next integration will be at the level of elevators and utility metering. Bus integration also extends to elevator and utility metering system as elevator schedules may be coordinated with the occupancy pattern. Peak hour operation and off hours operation can be managed differently. Some modern elevators also generates regenerative energy which can be monitored by the bus. The bus may even predict HVAC demand in lift lobbies using elevators hall call data. This hall call data is very important. Now let us discuss metering. Smart meters provide real-time data for electricity, water, gas, and chilled water systems. Sub-metering enables detailed energy allocation by floors, tenants, or departments. The bus can compare actual consumption against target and initiate demand response strategies when necessary. This improves energy transparency and operational decision making. So bus as a living system. Bus is not a one-time installation. It is a living system. Its value depends on continuous operation, maintenance, tuning, and adaptation. The building itself evolves over time. As occupants change, technology changes, energy regulation changes, therefore, building automation performance must also evolve. As successful building automation system project, it requires strong design principle, open standard, structure implementation, and long-term operational management. A building automation system is not a product, it is an ongoing service. The value is realized only when it is properly operated, maintained, and retuned as the building evolves over its 20 to 40 year life. So, as summarizing this discussion, building automation life cycle, we look at it at a glance. This table summarizes the entire building automation life cycle. Each phase generates specific deliverables. For example, the design phase creates the sequence of operations and point schedules. The procurement phase focuses on performance, specification, and conformance testing. The installation phase produces wiring, schedules, and as-built diagrams. Programming creates a control logic and graphics. And commissioning generates functional testing reports. The table also highlights relevant industry standards such as ASHRAE guideline, IEC standards, BAC Net, DALI, MQTT, Project Haystacks, and BRIC schema. These standards create consistency and interoperability across the industry. Applications. BAC is a commercial office building. So, here is the example which describes a 15-story office building with approximately 45,000 square meter approximately. The building automation system integrates more than 6,400 control points and 7 building systems. The project achieved approximately 28% energy saving compared to conventional building management system. Temperature controls accuracy remained within plus or minus 0.4 degrees Celsius. The project also demonstrates several practical lessons. First, Open BAC net specification allowed devices from different manufacturers of operate on the same network. Second, poor sensor placement created expensive reinstallation work after handover. And the third, continuous commissioning generated additional energy saving in the second year of operation. This example shows how both technical design and operational management influence long-term building performance. Now we are discussing the common pitfalls. The first mistake is the proprietary vendor lock-in. When projects depend entirely on one vendor, future upgradation and maintenance become expensive and restricted. The second mistake is poor sensor placement. A bad sensor reading creates a bad control decision. Next, the third mistake is neglecting continuous commissioning without periodic returning. Energy performance gradually degrades. The fourth mistake is inadequate operator training. If facility staff do not understand the building automation system properly, they often apply manual overrides permanently. Over the time, these overrides destroy the benefits of automation. Therefore, technical quality, operator training, and long-term maintenance are equally important. This is all for this discussion. Thank you.